Hey, everybody, and thank you for joining us for another 5 minutes in the Word. We love this time together each afternoon where we can study the Word of God together, and we hope you do as well. Today we're going to be in Mark chapter 8, starting in verse 34. You know, when I was a young man and I decided that I was going to put on Christ in baptism, I remember waking up that morning and running down the hall to talk to my mom. I remember while talking with her that one of the things that she kept reiterating over and over again was the cost of following Christ. This wasn't just a decision that I was making that day. This was a decision that I was going to have to make every day of my life. This was going to impact more than just the physical things that I did or didn't do, but it was going to impact me spiritually. It was going to impact my soul. You know, Jesus wanted those that followed him to realize this, to realize the full cost of following after Christ. And in verse 34 of Mark chapter 8, he says this, "And when he had called his people to himself with his disciples also, he said to them, 'Whoever desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me.'" Now, if you look in the book of Luke, it's going to add a word there. It's going to add the word daily. And I want us to think about this. You know, when Jesus, he called his disciples, many of them, they left their lives behind. They left their livelihoods behind to go and to follow Christ. When we think about this idea of denying self, yes, there are physical things in life that we're going to have to leave behind possibly in order to follow him to our fullest. But really, those things that are sinful, that are worldly, that are things that are of this world, those are the things that we are truly having to leave behind. And not only leave behind in the past, but in our future, not participate in those things. That we are to truly count the cost of being a Christian. That we're to deny ourselves, take up our cross, and follow him. And yes, we are to do that every day of our life. It says in verse 35, "For whoever desires to save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for my sake and the gospel's will save it." You know, that's how bold we are to be about the gospel, about salvation, about our Christianity. We're to love it. We're to cherish it. We're to want to share it with others. And even if it causes us to lose our life, we are to deny ourselves and we are to follow after God. It says in verse 36, "For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul?" You know, according to some people, money is everything. Fame and fortune, and that's what they really want in life. But let me ask us this question. Have you ever seen that many of the people that have all the money they could ever possibly want, they're not really that happy? That they might be surrounded by a lot of people, but how many true friends they really have? Now understand this, the measure of a true friend to the world and the measure of a true friend towards God's people are going to be completely different. We're looking for someone that's going to be a true friend, someone that's going to help them in their relationship with God, help them in their walk with Christ. That's a measure of a true friend. So we ask ourselves, what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. Nothing. It wouldn't profit him anything. In fact, it would take away from the life that he could live now and the life that he could live for all eternity. He goes on and says, "Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul?" Would we really, sell out our soul to have all the money we could ever possibly want? Or to have all the friends and all the fame? Would we really trade it for our souls? I know many of us would say, well, no, absolutely not. I would never do that. But do the actions that we take on a daily basis, do the words that we say and the places that we go and the things that we're a part of, are they telling the same story? See, the reality is that we need to be in constant evaluation of our lives and the things that we're doing and making our decisions based upon him and his word. And if we're not doing that, we're already selling our souls for worldly pleasures. We think about this and we see that in verse 38 it says this, "For whoever is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him the Son of Man also will be ashamed when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels." I know a lot of people in preparation for Jesus coming say, I'll get my life right later. I'll get my life right with God at some point. Right now, I'm just going to live for me. I'm just too busy. Well, is that really the right attitude to have, that I'm just going to get my life right later? Is that a good way to live? Well, of course not. Jesus doesn't want our leftovers, and he doesn't want us to have this awful attitude. Now, yes, if you later come to Jesus in your life, that's great. I'm glad you do that. But do we really want to plan and say, well, maybe? Here's another thing. Do we know that we're going to live later, even today, tomorrow, next year, a couple years from now? Do we really know how long our life is going to be? Well, we don't know that either. Do we know when Jesus is coming back? No, we don't know that either. So we think about this and think about, what's our life supposed to be all about? Is it supposed to be about gaining riches and fame and fortune, all those things? Or is our life supposed to be about serving God? As Christians, we know what our life's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about seeking after him, seeking after his righteousness, seeking after his kingdom, seeking after all that is good, that is pure, that is acceptable before God. That is what we as Christians are supposed to be all about. And so we have to ask ourselves, if we were to evaluate our lives right now, are we in a right relationship with God? Are we truly living for him? Or right now, are we possibly living for the world, living for ourselves? If today you're not a child of God, we would love the opportunity to study with you and help you see what it takes to truly be a Christian. We'd also like to help you see what the cost it truly is in order to bear the name of Christ on a daily basis. I hope and I pray that we all will continue to count the cost, to be true disciples of him, to follow him all the days of our life. We hope you have a great day. Thank you for joining us for 5 minutes in the Word, and we will see you all tomorrow. Bye, everybody.